I think I'm gonna cry right now, guys. Yesterday, when there was the 25th anniversary screening of Scream, I went to go see it with my girlfriend, got so excited I took little Ghosty with me. Thought it'd be cute to film his little adventure for TikTok, and then when I come home, he's missing his knife! Yeah! All I'm saying is, if I can't find this knife, I'm turning into Ghostface, and this is my origin story. But moving past my little tragedy, us Scream 5 fans are going crazy because 5 Cream is going ahead and showing so much stuff. Not only did we get our first look at the poster for Scream 5, we also got a ton of new images from Entertainment Weekly that shows us the original cast and these brand new group of characters that'll be haunted by Ghostface, even Ghostface himself. We're going to be talking about all that along with the trailer update and when you guys can exactly expect that. So be sure you Scream 5 fans are hitting that like button, commenting down below how you feel about the feel of this Scream movie so far. And let's take a moment to look around and realize we never thought we'd be in this moment where they're making another Scream movie. But here we are. Alright, so right off the bat, let's go ahead and talk about this. So like I was mentioning, there was the 25th anniversary screening of Scream, and there was a lot of reports coming out that that's where the first trailer would come out for fans for them to check out. I was gonna go either way because I've always wanted to see Scream on the big screen, and it was really great to be able to see one of my favorite horror movies in theaters for the first time. But unfortunately at my theater, they didn't have the trailer for Scream 5, but it seems like they did for other theaters. It was a weird thing where some places got to see it and other people didn't, and the worst part of it is the trailer did leak online early in Spanish. It seemed like international markets were the ones who were guaranteed to see the trailer early. Now, I appreciate all you guys who would tag me in it and send it to me, but I do not want to watch it. Even though I speak Spanish and I'd be able to understand the trailer, I'd rather see it in HD and have my genuine first reaction tomorrow. That is Tuesday, October 12th. That is when the trailer is actually going to be releasing for the public online. So I'll definitely be giving you guys my trailer reaction and a trailer breakdown, seeing what we could digest from everything going on in that movie, and I kind of can't wait. But until we got that trailer, we also got our first poster for Scream 5, and here it is. And look, I know a lot of us were hoping to see the floating heads or the classic looking black and white Scream poster. I still think that kind of poster is going to be coming on later on as the movie gets closer and they release maybe character posters or just other versions of the poster for Scream 5, but this is a good poster, and if anything, it's way better than the first poster we got for Scream 4, because don't forget, this was the first poster for Scream 4. I feel like any kid could have made that in Photoshop today. So I'm really happy with this poster for Scream 5. I think Ghosty looks really awesome in that lighting, holding the knife in his hand with a little bit of blood dripping from it. It almost feels like they're taking some inspiration from the latest Halloween posters that have been coming out, since it's just kind of his floating head off into the corner like the last 2 Halloween movies have done. And that would kind of make sense because Halloween is a big inspiration for Scream. So yeah, that's going to be a poster I'm buying and hanging up somewhere along with the rest of my Scream posters. But then this morning, right before the day of the trailer, we had Entertainment Weekly go ahead and show us our first look to Scream, revealing a lot of little details from cast and crew members. Now you guys can read the full article on Entertainment Weekly about the little things they went through. A lot of this stuff is things we've already talked about on the channel when doing these Scream 5 updates. A couple of things that did stand out to me though, when the directors of this new movie, Tyler Gillette and Matt Oplin, were talking about the original cast members, that's Neve Campbell, Courtney Cox, and David Arquette returning, they had this to say: they were not disposable roles. They were very, very important and the heartbeat of what was great about the script. We couldn't imagine the movie without any of them, so not having that perfectly locked in right off the bat was definitely scary. And that was always going to be the case because they say it in that quote that they didn't have the original stars locked in for the movie by the time they started filming, and that was scary for them, but eventually they were able to get them and make them part of the movie. And here we have one of our first looks at Neve Campbell and Courtney Cox, our Sydney Prescott and Gayle Weathers. I think they look great as ever. I'm still going to be very curious to see why they have matching necklaces, if this is a present from Dewey. I imagine it is, or it's just something that they both wear together to remind themselves that they're survivors, and after being attacked by Ghostface several times in their lives, this is just something that they do to keep themselves together even though they're always apart. And I guess since we're on the topic of OG characters, let's go ahead and show off our first look at David Arquette's Dewey Riley. Now, one interesting thing we'll learn about these photos is it looks like Dewey is going to be retired in this movie. I'll explain how we know that here in a second, but David Arquette looks awesome as ever. It's actually said that he's one of the OG cast members that is set to get the most amount of screen time ahead of Sydney and Gayle, and that would make a lot of sense. If you remember, he was one of the first original cast members to join the movie, and then they eventually got the rest. Plus the fact that he's probably still living in Woodsboro, and this is where that movie takes place, it would make sense that he'd show up naturally in the movie a lot more. But some of the details I was saying that we know about the OG cast members, some of you Scream 5 fans know that we've been following this Twitter user who happens to know a lot of inside information about Scream 5, and it was something I wasn't going to mention, but since this article and these photos kind of reveal it, I'm like, oh, I guess it's no longer a spoiler, it's going to be part of their marketing. We have an idea of what Dewey, Gayle, and Sydney have been doing since we last saw them in Scream 4. Now again, I want to remind you guys, this user has actually seen the movie. He just said it didn't have a lot of the finished music and visual effects, and he's just been hinting at little things here and there about the movie. So here he said, so where are Sid, Gayle, and Dewey 10 years after Scream 4? Dewey and Gayle are divorced. She got a show in New York and he couldn't handle it there. He's no longer sheriff, but lives in Woodsboro and watches her show every morning. Sid is married with 2 children, and bonus, Hicks is now Woodsboro's sheriff. And if you don't want to believe this user and think he's just making stuff up, this Entertainment Weekly article went ahead and confirmed it, that Marley Shelton, who played Judy Hicks in Scream 4, is not only returning for Scream 5, but they do have her listed in her photo as Sheriff Judy Hicks, meaning she takes over the role of sheriff in Woodsboro, and if Dewey is no longer sheriff, he's not super sheriff, the man is retired. Letting us know what this user is telling us is true. It looks like Dewey and Gayle are divorced. And I know a lot of Scream fans are going to be pissed about that, but that's always been how Scream is. They're on and off again. Almost every movie, they're dating, they're broken up. They're dating, they're broken up. And even in Scream 3, whenever Dewey finally proposed to Gayle, they had that little joke where they're like, we know it would never work, you know it wouldn't work, but let's just give it a shot. I think it's still very cute and heartbreaking that we learned that Dewey watches Gayle's show in New York every morning because he's obviously still in love with her. But to me, that does not ruin the characters that Wes Craven and Kevin Williamson set up, because it fits in line with what they do. But man, that mind-blowing thought right there that Sid is married and has 2 kids, that's awesome. I know a lot of people start throwing out the theory that one of the new cast members is going to be the kid of Sydney. It's like 11 years since Scream 4. None of these cast members would be old enough to be the kid of Sydney. And if they do end up showing her kids in Scream 5, they're probably going to be like 6 or 7 years old. Now getting on to some of our first look at the cast members here. Now the trailer does come out tomorrow, and I know I'm going to repeat myself a lot when giving you the descriptions of who these characters are. So for now, I'm just going to give you their name and how I think they look in the atmosphere of this movie. And in the trailer tomorrow, I'll give you the full description. So if you're watching this in the future, watch my trailer breakdown and I tell you descriptions of each one of these characters. But real quick before that, let's take a look at this photo that they revealed of Ghostface himself in this movie, because why does this boy look so terrifying when this is the same mask we've been following for 5 movies now? Looks like he's gonna be haunting somebody in a hospital. That's kind of cool that we're gonna get a hospital chase scene in this movie, but this lighting, this setting, Ghostface looks terrifying, man, and I love it. But just basic here, we have Jenna Ortega, very happy she's part of this movie, on the phone. It looks like she is talking on a home phone. Who has home phones nowadays? Bust out your cell phone, lady. But this is kind of very reminiscent of Drew Barrymore fiddling with kitchen knives as she's talking to someone on the phone. Her character name is Tara. And then we have Tara's older sister, Sam, who's going to be played by Melissa Barrera. After seeing her in the Heights this year, I am all on board for her to be the new face of Scream. And obviously you can see she's located inside Stu's house, which will be a big plot point in the movie. If you remember, Stu's house was the party they had in the first Scream movie, and this is her in the interior. I kind of like this little angled shot. I wonder if they're the ones living in there or just another rich kid in Woodsboro owns that house and be's throwing parties. Then we have who's gonna be Sam's boyfriend, Richie, played by Jack Wade, who is here comforting her. Now it looks like they're located in a hospital right now, so it must be after one of Sam's friends or her sister might have gotten attacked by Ghostface. Usually in these Scream movies, it tends to be the boyfriend one way or another, so for sure Richie is a suspect on our list. But as we go through some of the rest of these faces, they all kind of sussy. Then we have Jasmine Savy Brown playing Mindy. Looks like your typical teenage girl right there. I mean, just looking at her, she has a shirt that says "Together We Can," so it might be that she's a rights activist. From what we've heard, she's also said to be one half of a twin. Still, that is not yet confirmed, but that's some of the details that we've learned, and if it is true, that means her twin would be Mason Gooding's character, Chad, right here. And I just think it's always awesome when they add twin characters in horror movies, because I think it just adds to the aesthetic, and Scream hasn't really done that before. And then we have Dylan Minette's character as Wes. Now this is interesting because it seems like they named him after Wes Craven. I was really excited to see him part of this movie. I just hope he doesn't act a lot like Clay from 13 Reasons Why. Mickey Madison as the character of Amber. Interestingly enough, Sonia Amara's character is one of the only ones that doesn't have a name attached to her photo in this Entertainment Weekly article. That's kind of suspicious why they didn't do that, but based off the character descriptions and her hair color, it looks like her name is Liv. And then last but certainly not least, the real badass, I guess our new Billy Loomis of the group, we have Kyle Gallner playing Vince, sitting alongside his muscle man car right there. I think this is going to be the ultimate red herring, because you look at him and you think, oh, that's a killer right there. That's the face of a man who would do it. But I think it's going to be the obvious tough guy who's not the killer at all and is just being framed for it. But that is all the stuff we learned from these first look images about Scream 5. Tomorrow is the trailer. It's going to be an exciting time. Be sure you guys subscribe and are looking forward to my videos on that. Don't forget to like, subscribe, follow me on Twitter at 3C Films. But as always, I'm Chris. Take care.